Anyway, hi, everybody. Welcome to the FiveStack. My name is Dean. That is Zev. Zev is
Hello.
from narrative.org, where he is doing work that nobody on the planet has been doing over the past several years. It's all catching up to him. You go there today for a deep dive on the Great Heist. Part 3 just came out. Highly recommend you go and subscribe to Zev. And of course, deanblundell.substack.com is where you can find me. We're going to go over a bunch of stuff today. We're going to talk to democracy-loving North Americans, not Canadians, not Americans, not MAG Americans, not Trumpers. We're talking to you, and you're here, and you're giving us your time. So what we're going to do is fill you in on things you're not going to get from mainstream media today. We got a little Epstein stuff. We got some Canada stuff. We got some evangelical terrorist shit that we got to get to today because it's happening in Canada, imported from the United States. Zev, where do you want to start, my dear friend?
Well, we can start with the breaking news. Ghislaine Maxwell is now willing to testify before Congress about the Epstein network, but only if lawmakers grant her immunity, provide questions in advance, and wait until after the Supreme Court rules on her appeal, which is just going through now. The convicted child sex trafficker's lawyer told House Oversight Chair James Comer that Maxwell's would testify openly and honestly if Trump grants her clemency, confirming that she also answered about 100 questions about 100 different people when Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche personally traveled to her Florida prison last week, or courthouse nearby there at least. Comer rejected the immunity demand, but it maintains the August 11th subpoena, setting up a constitutional showdown over what Maxwell knows about the Epstein client list. Well, those 100 names might be the client list. Who knows what they were asking about, but that could be the client list. But this is big news. The fact that she's willing to testify in front of Congress is big news, because up until now, any sane person would have just told her to plead the fifth. The fact that they're willing to negotiate over clemency is interesting, and immunity is interesting. We'll see what happens. What's your take on this, Dean?
Let's stream this in two different aspects, okay? There's that aspect, which is, hey, the fact she's willing to forego her Fifth Amendment, the fact that she's willing to even show up, the fact that's something. Kind of, it is. She's fighting for her fucking life here. She's 60 years old or 62 years old. She is going to be in jail for the next 15 years at least. And all she wants is to get out of jail. She's a British socialite. She's never known anything but yachts and jets and private jets, by the way, not normal jets like you and I fly. So
I don't know.
There's a well, yes, I have been on a couple of PJs. Yes, but the interesting part here is the immunity deal, and I want to get to it. I want to get to her demands, which you really laid out. We're going to talk about that a little bit today, because the Epstein file cover up. This is part of it. What you're seeing is the front facing aspect of Ghislaine Maxwell's negotiation with the Trump regime. Now, let's back that up just for a second. Let's just say Donald Trump is not the president of the United States. Let's just say he's some dude whose name, along with hundreds of others rich elite pricks, are in the Epstein files, and they're all suspects of raping, trafficking, sexually abusing women and minors. Okay, let's just put that out there. In no court in the United States of America does a suspect in an investigation like this get to send his lawyer to speak with immunity to the perpetrator and the ringleader of the fucking crimes, unless he's the president of the United States. So your explanation of what might happen, lovely, but more likely what's happening is this. Donald Trump sent Todd Blanche to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell under the auspices that I want a bunch of names of my enemies, and feel free to throw these people under the bus as well that have donated, given me money, supported me, people who are my friends. So I kind of look like, I'm being transparent, but you keep my fucking name out of your mouth when you testify, and we're going to give you immunity. That is far more likely to be at hand than what you suggest, which is actually a great suggestion. It's if you look at the front-facing aspects of what's going on and how her lawyer and her are positioning her for immunity, which she's not getting from Congress. She's getting from the president of the fucking United States in this Queen for a Day deal that she had for 2 days worth of testimony.
Well, the Queen for the Day deal allowed her immunity for those 2 days. It didn't give her immunity going forward.
She's a fucking convicted criminal serving a 20-year fucking sentence for being the second most decorated abuser of children, sexual abuser of children in the history of the United States. And she got complete immunity. So,
over what she said, over her testimony of those 2 days. So
totally. She's already serving basically life in prison.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like that's and by the way, this is precedent setting. It has never happened before, ever.
Now, I agree with you totally about what's going on. I mean, I absolutely agree that what's happening is that Donald Trump and his lawyers and company are trying to reconstruct a narrative. They're trying to reconstruct the narrative that Israel and Russia initially created about the Democrats being part of this pedophile ring. And they're going to take that narrative, which is what has been pushed out by QAnon and which ultimately Epstein was trying to fulfill through his blackmail scheme. And they're going to make that narrative true in the face of everyone's news media, and because of Ghislaine's testimony or upcoming testimony, it's going to seem true that there was
and the key part to that too, Zev. The key part to that isn't just like weaponizing this against Democratic opponents and anybody. I wouldn't be surprised to see Gavin Newsom's name in there because he's a threat to Trump. But the key part of this isn't who he's going to throw under the bus, whether they be friend or foe. The key part of her testimony, which is what she's asking immunity for, is to absolve Donald Trump of any wrongdoing and just being an innocent bystander who was friends with Jeffrey, who may or may not have hung out with Jeffrey, so they could co-sign different aspects of legitimate, realistic receipts of his best friendship with the world's most disgusting fucking rapist and pedophile and child trafficker.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's at stake here. This is the other thing. Her conditions as laid out by her attorney: grant a formal immunity, interview can't happen in the correctional facility where she's serving her sentence, prepare adequately for any congressional deposition, and to ensure accuracy and fairness, we would require the committee's questions in advance, which
that
pointed out.
Astonishing.
Yeah, like
questions in advance, really?
Because I need to prepare my fucking answers so I can collude with Trump. Surprising question would be both inappropriate and unproductive, she says, which she is not fucking in the driver's seat. She's a pedophile. She's a rapist. She's a child trafficker.
Well, she is in this case driving the bus. I would say she's got more power than
the problem.
And it is the problem. Also, you've got someone here who will lie under oath. Really, is what she's going to be doing. In order,
she lied about her weight under oath.
I don't know that. But did she?
During her deposition when she was convicted, she lied about her weight. She perjured herself. She also got charged with perjury under oath.
Yeah, there's no doubt she's lied under oath before, and she will lie under oath again in this case. In other words, what we're seeing is a conspiracy to obstruct justice. And whether the president of the United States likes it or not, he's a party to this obstruction of justice, as is Todd Blanche, as is her lawyer, as are any other people in the Department of Justice that are aware of the fact that they are constructing this narrative that is not true. Because the true narrative, as we know, is very, very different. And what's, it's tragic here is that the true narrative is so important for America to hear about. America needs to hear about the greatest heist. It needs to hear about what Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein did for the last four decades. And they may never hear about what's really happening there officially from anyone, because the reality of it is this is being covered up in every which way. I mean, this is what Ghislaine Maxwell and Donald Trump and their lawyers and the Justice Department are busy doing. They're covering up the real events of the last 40 years in order to blame Democrats for something they never did, and in order to construct a narrative that absolves Trump. And, what we will get is some sort of immunity deal with her. We will get her testifying, but this will be theater. This will not be actual testimony. This will not be her really giving the goods on what happened over those 40 years, because we know that there's so much more.
It's constructed. It's revisionist history. It is, as you pointed out, a sim. Right? Like it is going to be the same thing that every government has done when governments have changed in colonial times. They're going to burn textbooks. They're going to destroy records. They're going to destroy receipts of reality for the president of the United States, who is a convicted or / adjudicated rapist. He is a convicted 34 fucking time felon. He has been accused 29 times, credibly, and either settled or been convicted of sexual crimes, sexual assault, sex crimes. And we're sitting here being told it's all a coincidence and it's all a hoax. Every example from the past 40 fucking years. And the reason why you're being gaslit into thinking that is because what's behind that Zev and so many others, like our boy Lev, have done is to remove your ability to vote safely in the next election. It is election reform. It is trying to convince you that this man is sent from God and he can do no wrong and everybody's out to get him and it's always the fucking deep state. It's fucking never the deep state. There is legitimately no such thing as the deep state other than him.
Yeah, that is a deep state.
And everybody he's associated with.
You know, what we've discovered while doing the greatest heist is that there is a deep state. And in fact, this is what the deep state looks like. It looks like the blend between organized criminal activity and intelligence services, and the use of, third-party organizations, corporations, terror groups, you name it, in order to instigate all sorts of foreign policy initiatives or crimes, as the case might be, in order to hurt a specific country. And that is what we're seeing here. This is the reality of what the deep state is. And if you're looking for people who might be a part of that deep state, well, Donald Trump might be a part of the deep state. Jeffrey Epstein might have been a part of the deep state. It's that blend of organized crimes and intelligence agencies and the ability to commit crimes with impunity that gives you the big tell on who is deep state or not. And that is why, this is so crucial that we find out the truth. I've been spending a lot of time lately just trying to piece together the financial crimes that Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump did over these 40 years and who they did it for and why they did it. And it's clear that they were working on parallel paths. But in each case, there was always moments of crossover. There were moments where they had to intersect, whether it's the Khashoggi yacht or Towers Financial, or later on, through various cases, which I'm still going to reveal, whether it's the laundering of casino money, all sorts of times that they had to sort of intersect their businesses. It wasn't done by contract. It was probably done in a backroom deal, but that's where it was done. But when you look at the timeline, it's pretty obvious that what happened here was that Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump basically took over from what Robert Maxwell initiated. And Robert Maxwell cooked up with the KGB this idea of infecting the West with a lot of corrupt money. And that's exactly what Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein appear to have done.
And listen, let me just kind of break in to support you in what you're saying.
Yeah.
All of Lev's recent reporting on Robert Maxwell,
Zev's
reporting on
Lev,
Robert Maxwell. There's so many Evs on his association with Mossad, on his association with the FSB, the KGB at the time, which is now the FSB, is all publicly available. You can Google it. It's on Wikipedia. He was given a state-sponsored funeral in Israel when he died. When he went overboard in Canary Islands and was magically...
It's actually not all Googleable, by the way, Googleable, whatever the term might be.
Well, you can't actually most Google, of it is.
You can Google some of the facts, but you can't Google the entire narrative. And
you can't put it together. It's so, you've done an incredible job of offering that timeline and piecing the puzzle together. But if you go out and you look for this data and piece it together, and you spend 8 years doing what Zev has done, you'll come up with the same fucking conclusion. Is that Robert Maxwell, after he died, every relationship he had that was a foreign policy or foreign espionage relationship was passed to Jeffrey Epstein and his daughter, Ghislaine Maxwell.
None of that would be known if it wasn't for what I was reporting, and will still be reporting. So, in fact, the stuff about the Robert Maxwell passing on to Jeffrey Epstein is exclusive stuff that I got from various sources over the years and is not actually Googleable, or you can find evidence of that elsewhere. That's particularly...
No, but what I'm saying is if you read publicly available information, you're the only person that's been able to gather X from over here, Y from here, and then other sources that are not readily available for other people.
Yes. Don't forget, I was in contact with a key source in this in Jeffrey Epstein's world.
Yeah,
Jeffrey
Steve
Epstein's
Hoffenberg.
mentor for 4 years. I was speaking to him on and off the record. So there's a lot of information that I have about what happened between Epstein and Hoffenberg, but Epstein and throughout his 4 decades. Because the truth of it is, Hoffenberg asked him every single question you'd want. And whenever I needed information about certain things, Hoffenberg was quite readily available to give me that information if I was very specific about it. And I don't know whether they got that from Epstein himself or whatever, but I got the answers I was looking for. So the reality of it is, we had, a real, it's a privilege to have had Hoffenberg reveal all that stuff over the years to me. And I'm doing my best to put it together with the facts that are publicly available. So when you've got, a narrative that seems kind of too fantastic to believe when you first hear it, when you can tie it down to the facts that exist by looking at the SEC documents, by looking at the money laundering that went on in Trump's casinos, when you look at all these elements that happen together, and then you really have to build a very comprehensive database and cross-reference each and every one of these facts. That's when you're able to say, well, the narrative he was telling me sounds true, looks true, because we can prove it based on these facts. And that's taken years of painstaking timelines and research and sources, and one of those sources is Hoffenberg. So a lot of what we're hearing now, a lot of what I'm reporting now about Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein being the heir apparent to Maxwell is not speculation. It is actually stuff that was told to me by a key witness who asked Epstein himself about this. And, I know to this, we're yet to break it. I'm still to put it out on the air. But, Jeffrey Epstein was in the loop during Robert Maxwell's final days. He was in fact, a person of interest during the investigation into Robert Maxwell's death. There's a lot of information around Jeffrey Epstein and what he did for Robert Maxwell, which helps us understand what he and Ghislaine then did in the United States when they arrived. It also set up the template for what we know they did, which is all these corporate failings or corporate failures and these market crashes, which were the template that Maxwell set up, and which Epstein learned from Maxwell in the 1980s in the UK under Douglas Leese. That's how he got all this information and all this training about how to do what he was going to do in the United States. And of course, the money could not go to Ghislaine, because Ghislaine was part of the same deal. If he was bankrupt because he stole all this money from the Mirror and all these other places, well, Ghislaine couldn't access that money because she was the heir of the bankrupt person who committed the crime. Of course, she couldn't access it. So they came up with a way of putting this money offshore so Jeffrey Epstein could get it. And he became the real heir apparent to Robert Maxwell. Now, that is not, it's the first time I've said it, I think, maybe publicly. And it's certainly stuff that Hoffenberg told me personally, and which was still, connecting with the facts, because it's really important to make sure that these are substantiated by the facts, and are putting it out there in this Greatest Heist series. But it's the first time anyone is hearing of these claims. It's not, this is a brand new story. It might seem like an old story because it's happened so many times, so many years ago, and so many people are speaking about it. But the truth of it, this is a brand new story in the Greatest Heist that's never been told before.
Yeah, and nobody, and I mean nobody on this planet. And folks, if you've gotten anything out of us, you know that we try to give you receipts for everything, whether it's our Substack posts. There is nobody on this planet that has the intel, the information, that has been able to put all the puzzle pieces together in a 20,000 piece pure black jigsaw puzzle of espionage, child sex trafficking, honeypotting, leveraging, than my friend Zev Shalev. The Greatest Heist series at narrative.org needs to be part of your life today, because it gives you the roadmap and the context of why some people will say, well, the sex trafficking ring and the child trafficking ring, that's just a front for everything else, because it is. And it goes back decades. decades. And it starts with Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell, who was a thief, who was a liar, who stole pension funds from his own employees, who embezzled money on behalf of investors, who got his hands on international money in the Iran-Contra affair. It is literally right there. So please go and read it. Lisa says it's great. Everybody says it makes so much sense. And nobody, and to your point, and when I say, and I don't mean that to discredit you at all, my friend, when I say this, is that the macro data, the inferences are out there, but you have gone the extra mile for the past decade to understand it, interview, investigate what's at hand here. And what's at hand here is exactly what you said, is the passing off of an espionage criminal enterprise on behalf of Russia, Israel, dark money, gross lobby groups to Jeffrey Epstein, who co-signed along with Ghislaine Maxwell, Donald Trump, and hundreds of other people, hundreds of others, the debasement and the abuse of thousands of women as part of this. And that's why we're here to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ghislaine is an interesting person, particularly because, she, put it this way, this is not just about the foreign interference of these intelligence agencies. This is not just about Russia and Israel. And it's not just about blackmail, which blackmail, I wouldn't say it was their front. It was their cover story. It was also their insurance scheme. It was the way they were able to guarantee that they could get away with all this nonsense that they were doing. But the nonsense they were doing is a massive. And I don't think we've got our arms around the scale of the organized crime that happened over these 4 decades between Iran-Contra up until Epstein's death and beyond. And when you look at who's in the White House right now and you recognize that he is close to organized crime families, if not an organized criminal himself, you can see
it is the Trump crime family, dude.
Yeah, it is, of course. But what we're seeing is the manifestation of those 40 years of crime that has ultimately propelled them to take over America. So in effect, what they've done is stolen America. They've stolen the entire country through a series of criminal events that started in the 1980s.
And cons.
Yeah, and cons, and so you can see these crimes taking place over and over again, and each time they produce another bailout, and all that bailout money gets stolen, and then they commit another crime, and then they crash the market, and then all the bailout gets given, and then the bailout gets stolen again. Hundreds of billions of dollars is what I'm talking about, not just tens of millions, not just whatever it is that he died with, 600 million. I'm talking about the extraction of hundreds of billions of dollars from the American economy and the global economy into organized criminal hands.
The American taxpayer.
Absolutely. The American
That's where
taxpayer.
it comes from. Yeah.
And if you're wondering why we have the multiple trillions of dollars of debt, it's because of these crimes have triggered all these bailouts. These bailouts cost a lot of money. We keep bailing people out for these crimes. We don't want the economy to crash. Well, guess what? That is why we have all this debt. And who likely created all of that? Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, and their Russian benefactors. But these guys were basically, they're no different than Capone. I mean, these are big organized criminals.
So let me point something out, and you bring up a great point about the debt, bailouts. They want you to think that the reason why the government's in debt is because of all the migrants. They want you to think that the reason the government's in debt is because of DEI. They want you to think that the reason the government is $37 trillion in debt in that big economy is all the fraud from food stamps from poor fuckers. Like, that's what they want you to think.
Yeah.
Zev just hit the fucking nail on the head. They have bankrupted that economy so many times that the cost of borrowing has gone through the roof for them because they are bankrupt. The United States is bankrupt to the tune of $37 trillion. At one point in my life, years ago, I owed $37,000 to somebody.
Yeah.
Not somebody, to the government. And I'm like, I'll never get out from underneath this.
Yeah, it's hard, man. I've been in there too. I know what it's like.
$7 trillion based on getting you to continually bail them out. And that is the fucking game. The game is, how do we convince everybody out there that our overspending, our thievery, our collusion against you, 370 million Americans, is the fault of a Mexican. It's the fault of a black man. It's the fault of an Indian man. It's the fault of an immigrant. It's the fault of a trans person. Fuck them. And this is the fucking game. And if you don't realize it, and if you don't share things like this, hit that little square with the arrow and send it to people. Hammer that fucking heart. If you don't realize this and don't share this with people, you're missing the point. This is a class war that's being waged as a culture war against you for your money. You're the mark. Increased prices, inflation, groceries, tariffs, everything is designed. Listen, America, I know there are tens of thousands of you that subscribe to me, tens of thousands. And same with Zeb. I have to tell you something. This is going to hurt a lot of people, maybe not here because you're all smart if you follow us. Sorry, I had to put that in. You pay your tariffs. They're going to tariff Canada to the tune of 15 to 25% in the next week because of August 1st, Trump's bullshit deadline's coming up. And he talks about $109 billion that he made from the economy from tariffs. And he plays it like, oh, all these countries gave us money. No, we didn't. We just sent it there like we always did. And you paid 25, 30, 50% more. It came from you. You're the mark. And that lie to continually tell you that America's great because we're doing this to all these people. No. You're paying it. Not us. Not us. That's the fucking game, kids.
And that's why I am still so surprised that not a single news organization is picking up on the story. Not a single journalist with any balls, let me put it that way, has had the guts to do the reporting that can save America. Because this, without a doubt, is the kind of stuff that could defeat Donald Trump. He knows it. That's why he's running so scared of the story. This is why he is negotiating a deal with Ghislaine Maxwell and why he has 1,000 FBI officers scrubbing his name from the Epstein files right now.
And pictures and videos.
So he knows what's in there because he lived it. And it would be really, at some point when a journalist is assessing how the United States collapsed into an autocracy and realizes that their own failure to cover a story is one of the reasons why, and their own collusion with this government because they were too scared to lose their jobs and because these corporations were selling out at a rate of knots to the president of the United States, they were willing to sacrifice it all in order to give in to the dear leader, in order to bless dear leader. And instead of doing what many journalists should be doing, which is covering the story, investigating this story, they're not doing it. And it's, I don't understand why. If they're journalists watching now.
I'll tell you, I know why. Yeah. Because they want to prolong the ratings. Donald Trump is ratings. This bullshit about tariffs is ratings. The bullshit about Epstein, it's ratings. Everything is ratings. Everything is clickable. Everything is viral. And there's a dollar amount attached to Donald Trump in the media world that you cannot qualify. We live it. Listen, I'll tell you the truth. Are Zev and I successful on Substack? Lev, Michael Cohen, Midas Touch, are they successful without pushing back against us? No, we know that. And you know that. So
I don't associate with those guys, but
I know you don't. I know you don't. But my point is this, is that there's an economy around the entertainment value and the lies that this fucking cretin talks about. Guys like us, this is not an intentional thing. Charlie Kirk, very intentional. Without Donald Trump, Charlie Kirk doesn't make $7.4 million a year. Fact. Tim Pool, Ann Coulter, Laura Ingraham. Fox News does not exist today without Donald Trump's insanity. Doesn't exist. We watched over the past 5-6 days Donald Trump act like a complete fucking lunatic in Scotland. We watched him call being on Epstein Island a privilege. We watched him lie about a fake trade deal with the EU. We watched him cheat at golf. We'll get into all of it. But everything around Donald Trump, the media values as clickable in a dead media ecosystem, right? So, of course, they don't want to report the truth because that ends the discussion.
Mm-hmm. They don't want to report the truth because it not only ends the discussion, it's going to be frowned upon by their bosses. And I get that. But there are independent journalists out there. There are independent journalists on Substack that could be covering this. They can see the stories. They know the stories. They watch and follow me. So they must know the stuff. I'm so used to people, cribbing from my reporting over the years that it's like second nature to me. I expect it these days. And it's a bit of flattery along the way because I'm always far ahead of everybody else. But the way this story is being completely ignored by everybody is there's something new and mystical about it. This is the most important thing that we could be reporting on right now is the allegations and the potential crimes of a president who's had a 4-decade, corrupt scheme in order to defraud Americans. And they're not doing it. And so I don't know what the rationale is behind that, but I challenge every single journalist who wants the story. I will give you the next scoop about the story. I will give you absolutely everything I know for the next chapter of The Greatest Heist. It is huge, and I'd like you to print it. I'd like you to publish it. I'll give you all the evidence. I'll give you the Hoffenberg quotes. I'll give you everything you need to publish this. And I won't even need my name associated with it. I will happily hand it over to you. You can have the exclusive. If one of you has the guts to call me and ask me what the story is, and I'll be happy to do it. And if you could print it, print it.
Attaboy. Yeah, put your money where your mouth is. That's why I fucking love working with you, dude. You fucking put people on the board. You're like, hey, call me. I'll give you everything I have. You're not picking it up. No one's talking about it. You're the only person doing it. And everybody, I can't tell you enough. Go and subscribe to Zev's channel. Go right now, narrative.org. You will get the education of your lifetime that mainstream media doesn't want because they're eating at the fucking Trump trough. That's what they're doing.
And if you're supporting any of these Substackers, ask them why they're not covering the story. I mean, you're paying them good money. Ask them why they're not covering the obvious part of the story. And send them to me. I'd be glad to help. Number 4 in our countdown, Sean Feucht's a Canadian worship tour turned into a masterclass in MAGA grift when cities across Eastern Canada canceled his shows for lacking permits and promoting Christian nationalist messaging. The evangelical influencer, who I've never heard of, who claims Trump is God's chosen one, staged a smoke bomb incident at his Montreal church to manufacture a martyrdom event. This is Dean Blundell's big story on deanblundell.substack.com. Dean, who is this dude, and what is this about? A mock smoke bomb event?
Yeah, firebomb. He called it a firebomb.
Oh,
listen,
man.
I need to let me, dude. Listen, this is like Convoy.
Yeah.
1.2, but like the poor man's loserific, fucking MAGA religious grifting Joel Osteen guitar playing version of the Convoy.
Yeah.
Sean Feucht or Fucked or however you say his name.
Feucht, I think. But I don't know for sure.
Is a piece of MAGA worship shit. Sean Feucht, disowned by his own denomination, disowned by his own church, disowned by his own volunteers, his own charities over the past several years for literally thieving donations.
Gosh.
In the name of Jesus Christ to build a multi-million-dollar real estate empire on the backs of attacking people over vaccines and science, attacking the LGBTQ and trans community as freaks, joining Donald Trump and Paula White's worship cabinet, that Christian nationalist fucking evangelical terrorist group that he calls a group of fucking, God-fearing Christians. They're not. They're all liars and grifters and thieves who are stealing money. So Sean Feucht came up to Canada, or Fucked, however you say his name, came up to Canada and booked a whole bunch of venues across Canada for a Cross Canada MAGA tour, where he said they were free concerts, but they came with the inference that if you don't donate and give me my offering for Jesus, you're going to get fucking removed.
Really?
And so, dude, it's a full on. Have you seen Shiny Happy People, by the way?
No.
The streaming documentary on the the evangelical attempt to
sounds so
propagandize
familiar.
young people. Oh, fuck.
Yeah. I think I have seen
That's what he
parts of it,
does.
at least.
That's who he is. You got to watch it.
Yeah.
So this guy was banned from renting venues in Quebec. And if people in the United States don't understand, Quebec is a country that hates religion, a province that hates religion. And so they don't allow religious symbolry. They don't allow, crosses on necks. They don't allow burqas. I fucking love Quebec for that reason, because I hate organized religion, because to me, it's all a cult. And if you look at the history of religion and cults, you'll know that I'm telling the truth. Every man-made religion is a cult. So Sean Fuchs is hiding behind, with, by the way, the worst perm comb over you've ever seen in your life, hiding behind MAGA and God and Jesus to portray Canada as anti-Christian, because he had all of his hateful anti-LGBTQ, anti-trans, anti-Canada rallies canceled. And so he went and held one in a church in Quebec, because church people are dumb. I'm just saying it. If you're a fucking God-fearing church person, you're an idiot. So you don't agree. I just, that's just who I know you don't, but I do. So I said it.
All
I know I'm going to be me for the rest of my life. It's just going to happen. So anyway, these kindly church people go, come and use our church to spread your propaganda, because he's lied to them too. So he sets off 2 smoke bombs in his own
Oh my gosh. It's so Trump.
And then puts out a tweet, and he's like, we were firebombed.
Yep. By ourselves.
Canada is an anti-Christian country. I've been in touch with the fucking White House. They're keeping an eye on the situation. What does Trump want more than anything with Canada?
Canada. He just wants Canada.
He wants it all.
Yeah.
He wants all our shit.
Yeah.
And so he's now literally sending his fucking comb over, perm maiden, MAGA Christian, evangelical fucking grifters.
Evangelical insurgents is what they are.
Insurgents who are also fucking criminals to Canada to stage free concerts, to paint Canada as this tyrannical anti-Christian country that's embraced Muslims and hates Christians, and it needs to be fucking invaded. Listen, I outed him this week, and almost every single one of his tour stops got canceled. Like every single one. And because of that, the Maple MAGA conservative movement in Canada has come after me. Eva Chipiuk, a convoy lawyer, came after me. Michelle Ferrari, who is a Maple maggot, Marjorie Taylor Greene light version in Canada, came after me, called me a sociopath. She's like, who needs to be taken out. I've received like hundreds of death threats today. My lawyer's in contact with them. And that is the template. That is what Donald Trump is. That is what the MAGA movement is. How do we create chaos and this false narrative about Canada being a anti-Christian, hateful, Muslim-loving country that needs to be invaded? Let me explain something to you. Canada is a country that protects the marginalized people, that organized religion hates, that MAGA hates, that fascists and assholes hate. And if I will go to my fucking grave to protect a gay, trans, anti-fucking Christian human being who's living their best life, as opposed to what I saw in Canada this weekend. It's an op. It's an attempt to sell merch. It's an attempt to sell Canada out as an anti-Christian tyrannical country. And I don't give a fuck who you are. And I'm warning you, because I'm apostate. I was in that religion. I will out every single one of you. I will come for all of you. And I can tell you this, Sean Fuchs is just another fucking proxy. He is a maggot. He is every single one. He is Mike Pompeo in 45. He is Marco Rubio. And you know what he came to Canada to do? To hurt Canadians, to hurt fair-minded Canadians, to convince them that Canada sucks. And I'll go to my grave doing this as well, protecting Canada, a secular country that allows every religion, Christian, Muslim, anybody to do anything they want, provided it doesn't steal from our quality of life. And what Sean Fuchs was trying to do on behalf of Donald Trump was steal from our quality of life to destroy the reputation of this beautiful country that I live in, that is the vanguard of democracy around the world.
I'm very proud of you for doing that. I think the more we can get ahead of these attempts to demonize Canada, and there'll be many. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, we will be going through years and years of Canada being vilified by MAGA types and these insurgents' attempts to try and corrupt our society. And the truth is, that's all being led by not only the Russians and the Chinese, but also now it seems members of American MAGA. And congratulations for doing that. I mean, sincerely, this is an incredible thing that you've been able to identify this guy who people are telling me it's Voigt, is how you say his name.
I prefer fucked.
Actually. I like that. I like both. Yeah. They both seem to apply.
I'll just go with fucked from now on.
The truth is that you've been able to stop something that could have been quite big. And the more we keep our eyes open and awareness of these kinds of information and psychological warfare operations, because that's really what they are. They're psychological warfare. The more we can stop them, and the sooner we can stop them, the better off we'll be in terms of trying to defeat this horrible enemy that's taking over democracies around the world. And it's great for you. Good job. Well done for doing that.
Listen, thank you. I take no credit. All I did was present facts of his millions of embezzlement, his own church disowning him, every single
one of them.
It's all of them. That's what MAGA is, though, dude. It is a fucking gathering ground for fucking evangelical criminals, pedophiles, sexual assaulting pricks, and financial criminals. That's all it is. And they're like, they just hate Christians. That's why they don't let me get away with all this embezzlement. Yeah. Fuck you, Sean. Yeah. And fuck you, MAGA. And fuck you, Maple MAGA. And fuck you, Michelle Ferrari. I don't give a shit who you are. Man, woman, doesn't matter. I will come after you. That's why I'm a muckraker. I don't care. I'm nothing other than the person that tries to deliver the truth to you, as is Zev. So you can fact check every single receipt on that post that I put out that outed him. It's a 10-tweet long thread. You go to Twitter, @it's Dean Blundell. You can go to Substack, deanblundell.substack.com, and you can read it. And I want you to read it. And then I want you to fact check it. Because what I included as facts and receipts of his embezzlement of money from donors in the name of Jesus Christ were all Christian publications asking him why he embezzled all that money on behalf of Jesus. Because the Jesus philosopher that I know wouldn't co-sign any of that.
No, of course not. Jesus and the Christian religion is not about that. It's not about criminality. And what we're seeing out of this White House, what we're seeing out of the MAGA movement is that these guys are all just criminals. And what they're doing with the cover-up, what they're doing with all the Epstein stuff, everything is just one big criminal activity that's being covered up again and again and again. And it's up to Americans to expose the truth. And thank you so much for doing that with this pastor who declared himself a pastor, of course, because, how else do you become one in the MAGA church? That's the only way. Other interesting things, speaking about cheating and being criminals and everything, at number 3 on the countdown, Trump got caught on camera having his caddy toss golf balls back into play after bad shots at his Scottish resort, adding another chapter to his legendary cheating career. He is a terrible golf player, so he needs to cheat in order to win. And yet he got spotted by lots of cameras when he was in Scotland. So tell us the story, Dean.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw it. Lev and I talked about it yesterday. We caught up in the afternoon on our weekend roundup. Listen, the visual that we know, that we all saw, Trump cheating twice, specifically making his caddy cheat for him by dropping a ball in the fescue, which if you play golf, you understand it's called deep rough. But dropping it in a play where he could lie and he could go and play his next shot. Donald Trump, if you've read Rick Riley's book called Commander in Cheat, Rick Riley is the former editor of Sports Illustrated who played around a golf with Trump and talked to a bunch of people that Trump golfed with. Golf is based on honor. And I'm an avid golfer, former scratch golfer, now like a 4 handicap. I love the game. I love honoring the game. I love the culture around the game. I love the peacefulness of the game. But I love challenging myself with the game. Mm-hmm. This weekend, Donald Trump's caddy went ahead of him in Turnberry. He's in Scotland on a working retreat. Yeah. He's trying to get away from the Epstein shit, which, by the way, he just incriminated himself all weekend long. His caddy goes ahead of his golf cart knowing it's out of bounds or in the fescue and he's not going to find it. And he slowly, surreptitiously drops a ball out of his pocket next to the sand trap in a playable lie. A playable lie, if you don't golf, means in a space on the golf course where you can actually get the golf ball up and you can play it. So Donald Trump is behind him, watching him do this visually. If you go to deanblundell.substack.com, you can check it out. There's like a slow motion mashup where you can go, oh my God, this is fucking cheating. What a fucking incredible analogy for what he has done to every single person that has been involved with him, whether it be our boy Lev Parnas, whether it be Tulsi Gabbard, whether it be Pete Hegseth, whether it be Alex Acosta with the first Trump-Epstein deal. He treats everyone around him as his caddy for plausible deniability. And he makes them go out and he convinces them that this is what you got to do. It's in the name of Jesus.
Yeah.
It's in the name of America. This is the truth. I've got it on authority. And these caddies have put themselves in a position where immunity is not going to work. Like Donald Trump's caddy can cheat for him in golf. Donald Trump's DNI caddy can't keep lying to him.
Well, they're going to try.
Can't keep fucking inventing
They're going to
things.
try.
And they're going to try. But I can tell you this. If you go and watch that video and you see what Trump is making his fucking caddy do, and by the way, surprise, he won his 30th club championship at his own club. He's only won club championships at his own club.
Of course.
Even though we have two visuals of him cheating, going in the sand trap, hitting balls out of bounds several times. I've won 2 club championships, 2 in my life.
Yeah.
And I can tell
golfer,
you,
hey?
I used to be. I'm not anymore. I'm terrible now.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this, that I've golfed for 50 years and won 2.
Have you ever cheated?
Never once.
Honestly, just
you
once.
You can't cheat at golf. Not in club championships.
Oh,
not unless you rig the fucking whole club championship.
So he can. Donald Trump can, but everyone else can cheat. That's the kind of game that Donald Trump loves, is the game that only he can cheat in. The number 2 story, and we've got to go through these quickly because we're running out of time, but the Pentagon has quietly diverted $934 million from America's struggling nuclear missile program to renovate Qatar's gift, Boeing 747, for Trump's new Air Force One. The Sentinel nuclear modernization program, already 81% over budget at $140 billion, took the hit while Trump gets his luxury jet that will transfer to his presidential library after his term ends. The Qatari plane requires extensive security modifications and surveillance sweeps, meaning taxpayers fund an aircraft the government won't keep while America's nuclear deterrent falls further behind schedule. $1 billion. Sorry, $1 billion.
You surprised?
Not surprised.
Shocked.
Just sharing the news.
It's a good share.
It's a good share. You know, hey, they go, if you're feeling safe in America now, MAGA's all about it. Yeah. Enjoy the plane.
And by the way, you can't land that plane at 95% of America's airports.
Oh, really?
Just so you know, it's too big. Yeah.
If it was so sad, it would be hilarious. It is kind of funny. The number 1 story is actually a very serious story, and it's all about the Blackstone shooting that killed a great CEO, Wesley LePatner. Now, we're seeing this breaking news story. It's been happening over the last 24 hours.
Yeah, you talked about this story with Olga on the Trump tyranny tracker, by the way.
We started talking about it.
Yeah, everybody should subscribe to that. Yeah.
But this story is a big story because, everyone is basically believing the reporting out there that this gunman seemed focused on the NFL. He left a note referencing his disease tied to his head trauma, yada, yada, yada. That's not what appears to have happened. Firstly, you can't look at the name Blackstone and not say, well, that is Russia. Blackstone is Apollo. Blackstone is Putin. Blackstone is all these things. And Blackstone also, may have been in the periphery of Donald Trump's entire wealth structure has come out from Blackstone. And in fact, this woman who got assassinated, Wesley LePatner, was in charge of the real estate fund that this widely undervalued or was falling through the floor in terms of its valuation. And so, there's a story out there that this is about the NFL, but this gunman somehow went into the wrong entrance, went into the wrong
Yeah, you're talking
floor.
about the New York City gunman, big story, front page news everywhere. Yeah.
So he goes in and he shoots this Blackstone executive who's hiding behind a pillar on the first floor, on the ground floor, which seems like a very targeted hit. It doesn't seem like this is some random person that she was hitting. He targeted her, obviously, on his way up. And then he ended up going up to the 33rd floor for whatever reason he was going up there for. And then he leaves a note behind saying, hey, there was this NFL thing that was going on. There was a problem for me, and I had to deal with, this the head injury. I don't think that's true, and we should be very cautious about running with this particular narrative until we've really understood Blackstone and this woman's involvement in Blackstone and how closely aligned the Trump administration is with Blackstone. I mean, they are the key funders of the administration. So there's a lot to be discovered here, and I think it's too soon to say what really went on there. And for journalists covering the story, it seems to me that believing the narrative that you're being fed is probably not the right way to go, that we should step back and really examine what the relationship is. And by the way, Jeffrey Epstein's financial ties go all the way to Russia. Blackstone's financial ties go all the way to Russia. They're part of the Russian Development Corporation, the RDIF, which was involved in installing Donald Trump in 2016. There is a lot of stuff here that needs to be explored before we can run away with this idea that this person was, accidentally shot in the lobby of her building by someone focused on going after the NFL, when it just doesn't square up. That doesn't square up for me in any way whatsoever. So it's a big story. It's developing right now, and I'll be publishing something on Narrative in the next, hopefully, half hour, where I'll be revealing all the inconsistencies in this. But this one smells, and with everything going on around Epstein, Trump, and Russia right now, I wouldn't assume to know too much about what's going on right now. I think we need a lot more investigation.
Is this one of those blog posts that you started that's sitting on your laptop that you're like, fuck, I cannot wait to get back to it?
It's a thing I'm writing. I mean, do I like writing about these things? I mean, I'm interested in putting it out there. I'm extremely concerned about getting any of this wrong. So I do everything, everything these days is so buttoned down, and we have to be so careful about getting facts wrong, because that's what people come after us. So I spend way too much time fact checking absolutely everything. And that's what I'm doing right now with this particular story. But it's, this one smells to me, and we may be seeing part of the cover up here. Well, this may be part of the cover up. This woman may have known more about Epstein and Trump's financial history than we realize.
Everything is part of the cover-up. Any distraction is part of the cover-up. The Beyonce lawsuit, which makes me laugh, part of the cover-up.
So ridiculous.
The Epstein files cover-up are part of the cover-up. Yeah. And what are they here to cover up? And I want to bring everybody's attention back to something that we talk about on a weekly basis, which is keeping your eyes on the prize, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a Canadian and as someone that is in love with his American friends, real Americans, not MAG Americans, not Trump's America, but real Americans who are sad, desperate, lonely, depressed over the state of their union.
Mm.
The entire goal here for Donald Trump and the entire goal for MAGA is always about how do we stay in power? And how they stay in power is stuff like this Blackstone deal, stuff like the Epstein files being a distraction, because Russell Vought, Stephen Miller, and the Project 2025 group are so dead set on making sure that you can't answer the bell for yourself and for democracy in 2026. It's about election reform. And they'll tell you it's election reform. But everything to do with Donald Trump, everything to do with Blackstone, Eric Prince, Russia, everything to do with Mossad, Israel, that we talk about, not Israel, Netanyahu. The Israeli people are beautiful people who hate Netanyahu as much as Americans hate Donald Trump. I need to reiterate that all the time, because I believe the Israeli people, when they tell things to people like you and me, and I get these DMs too, you have family there that are so war weary and so tired of the gaslighting and the lies and their fascist president and prime minister taking over the Supreme Court. It's because whoever gets to be in charge of America gets to be in charge of the fucking world. Mm. Plain and simple.
And gets to imprison all the free people of the world. I mean, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about Americans' freedom. We're talking about the world's freedom. If you, in your soul, believe that you as an individual deserve to be free, that you have the right to, determine your own life in whatever way you can and not be ruled by monarchs or kings or despots, then this is what it's about. And, most Americans would stand up right now and say, this is exactly what they believe in, that they believe in liberty, they believe in equality, they believe in justice. These are the things that matter.
To a man and a woman. To a man and a woman, they would say the same things. We believe in our freedom. We believe in, and listen, like, wipe all the fucking COVID conspiratorial bullshit out of your mind. Like, wipe it all clean. What you're saying is so important right now. And that's MAGA, non-MAGA, Democrat, Republican. You believe in your freedom. Mm-hmm. You believe in your ability to vote. You believe in your God-given right, your constitutional right to express yourself, like real freedom of speech. I had a tweet that was taken down 2 days ago about this. It was limited according to visibility. And I got a note from Elon saying, if you want to, if you want this tweet to go through, you gotta, if you want to access your account, you got to get rid of this tweet. This is the free speech absolutist. You know what the tweet was?
What?
About this very topic. About this very topic. On Substack, we don't get it. Mm-hmm. We get, go ahead and put it together. I tried to write a post today. I'm going to put it out today about every single GOP or Trump adjacent donor, lobbyist who's been convicted of pedophilia. ChatGPT, as I'm researching, ChatGPT says, I can't really come up with that.
Oh, you get that. You get that. I get that a lot. Claude does the same thing to me. They're always like, oh, we're running out of capacity right now. We're turning off.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Sometimes it takes me like 4 or 5 times to get my research done because suddenly they're at capacity and they can't help you with this thing. I mean, it's so obvious that this is what they're doing. And, and this is supposedly the answer to our prayers. It's AI that they're doing. I mean, I love AI and I love Claude. I think
here's the purpose. The purpose is to prevent us from talking about it.
Yeah.
To prevent you from hearing about it.
For sharing
and you're not
facts.
getting it anywhere else, which is why it is so, I say this time and time again, I'm not sub-farming. You have to share every piece of information like this with as many people as you can. You need to subscribe and you need to bypass. It's so important right now, folks. It's so important.
You know what I'm going to say? Just one last thing. The reason I called it the greatest heist is because not only are they stealing, billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, not only are they stealing America from Americans, but they're stealing the freedom of people around the world. They're stealing your freedom.
They're stealing your reality and your freedom.
And, there's nothing more precious, having lived in a police state and grown up in a police state, there is nothing more precious than living in a free country. And Americans have a lot to lose if they let this continue. And the world has a lot to lose if they let this continue. And so every bit of power that, you need to muster, put it out there right now and stop this administration from continuing. Embrace freedom, support freedom, and support independent journalists like Dean Blundell at deanblundell.substack.com. You'll get terrific reporting, including the great reporting about Foyt, but also see, the golf cheating of Donald Trump. And check out narrative.org, narrativ.org, where I'll be sharing more on the greatest heist and more on the shooting that happened in Manhattan. That is the FiveStack today. We shall be back tomorrow for what will be our final show together for a few weeks, a couple of weeks or so.
Just so everybody knows.
I'm devastated.
I know.
I'm devastated and upset about this.
I know. I have to head out for work. I do a bunch of different stuff. We do narrative building, brand building, and I'm taking off for the next several days doing some other work. But you and I are going to be in touch. We're going to touch base. That 5-stack might be a 1-stack, might be a 2-stack. It'll come to you in different forms. I'm going to try and stay with you as long as I can. Not like when I was in Italy a couple months ago, where I had to take a full break because I was told, because my partner's taking her computer as well. So we're good.
Oh, that's good. And when you're not on, I'll be doing it by myself. I'll do an abbreviated version of the 5-stack. And when you're on, we'll do it together. But there's also new reports coming out from Narrative in the evenings about Jeffrey Epstein And tomorrow night at 8 p.m., we'll be doing the third episode of the original series from 2019. The Secret Life of Jeffrey Epstein is full of good nuggets there as well. And tonight I'm with Olga for the Authoritarianism 101 course that we're doing. So we're all busy, and I'm going to miss you while you're gone, but we have one more show before I say...
I'll be back. I'll be back. We're going to do an early show tomorrow. I'll be back, dude.
Okay.
I'll be here. It's just not going to be in the same format. We're just going to have to piecemeal.
I know, but it's not the same.
I know. I love you and I miss you too, my man.
Abandoned. I miss you too, and I love you too. And I love you all for watching the show. Thank you for being here. We'll be back tomorrow with the FiveStack at 3? 3 tomorrow? Or maybe
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
Okay, we'll be there.
Here.
Bye-bye.